Hello, everyone, and how is everyone doing today? It is another day that the Lord has made. Let us rejoice and be glad in it. My name is Sharice Johnson Moore, and I am the executive producer of Authors Excerpt Sunday podcast. And today we have a special guest. His name is Mo Issa. How you doing, Mr. Mo Issa? How you doing today?
I'm good. Thank you. All
All
great.
right. So, with your book, The Midlife Shift, can you give us a little background about yourself and then give us an understanding of what brought you to write this book?
Okay, first of all, let me thank you for having me on the show, and let me give you a little background about myself. I'm originally from Lebanon, Lebanese, but I live in Ghana, West Africa, and I've all my life I've been a business owner. I've run a business for 30 years plus, and around when I was around 40, 43 or something like that, I started I've had my renaissance, as I said, my internal revolution. I've gone more inward and more, which we'll get into much more into the book, but I'm just giving you a brief background. And that's how I started sort of writing through journaling. I first started journaling all my thoughts and I started writing. And that led me to this path of reaching this the memoir that I just wrote now, the midlife shift, and how I left the rat race to find myself. So that's a short way of saying how I started writing. I got into this book, which took me about 5 years to write, actually.
Oh, okay, all right. So in this the book, The Midlife Shift, what things happen to curate you to really to write this book, to get into a in-depth like midlife of that shift you know
Yeah, I mean the whole my whole message really, bottom line is that we need to go internally sometimes to really ask the big questions, because I was a businessman. I was very successful. I made money, and I've lived a good life. I spent lavishly, but at the back of my mind, I was always asking the questions like, am I really satisfied?
yeah
And a few things came into my life, a few like bad things, let's say we can call them. My nephew had a near fatal accident, and that made me question. It was the bubble burst, sort of made me question. At the same time, I was in a bankruptcy. My company, the banks were calling a loan, and I got into a long. It's a long story there, but we came through. My nephew came through, thankfully, and I came through this tough period. But it made me really question everything that I stood for, all my values, the upbringing from my parents. Like, are these really the values that I want to follow? So that's what led to me to ask all these questions. It was these moments back in 90. Well, it was around 2006, 2007. That's when the questioning started. Yeah.
Okay, so what I noticed that you are an author of several books. And what makes this book, Midlife Shift, different from The Shift?
Good question. The first book I wrote was a short book of poetry, and it was really just expressing my thoughts. And I don't think it was very good, but I just put it out there. It was the first book that I wanted to sort of bring out all my raw emotions and feelings. The second book I wrote, The Shift, it's more nonfiction. It's prescriptive. So I was sort of sharing the lessons that I learned that really helped me in my internal revolution to give me more contentment in life. So themes like vulnerability, authenticity, connection, all were sort of spelled out in a nonfiction way, perspective, and I gave a few stories. But the memoir, which I just wrote now, The Midlife Shift, it's actually an account of what I've gone through personally in my life, like the stories. It's more story-like. It's much easier to read, more probably more interesting for people who like to read stories as memoirs are. And I sort of chronicle the journey that I've gone through already.
Mm-hmm. So, um, in I see that you are a winner of the gold medal and global book awards for the Midlife Shift. What kind of impact did that have on you winning that award?
I mean, I got an email a few weeks ago that it won in a certain category. It's not a New York Times bestseller list. I'm not getting all excited, but it's still an award and it's an appreciation. I mean, as writers, as people who express, we always want to be seen, right? We always
Yeah.
want to be heard. We always want to be appreciated. So
Mm-hmm.
I was over the moon, really, really happy with it. At least
Mm-hmm.
some people appreciated the words that I spent so meticulously and took so much time to write. Yeah.
Yes, yes. In writing, your writing spans self-help, personal growth, and poetry. How does these genres complement each other in the journey as an author?
I think writing is a form of self-expression. So all of them combined together are when we get in touch with our deepest places, heart, soul, whatever you want to call it, spirit.
Mm-hmm.
So some people do that by singing, by dancing, by painting. For me, writing was the form. Like all the thoughts within inside me would come out, and through this journaling process,
Mm-hmm.
and through this journaling process, I felt I was thinking more. I was reflecting on my life. It was like, what happened here? What did I do? How did I react? Was it me who was making these decisions, or was it my upbringing, my father's voice, or my mother's look? You know,
Yeah.
so writing, going back to you, all these forms of write different genres
Mm-hmm.
really are different ways of self-expressing what's you at the end of the day, right?
Yeah.
That's the way I see it.
Yes. Yes. So, what kind of feedback have you received from your readers? Particularly about the midlife shift.
No, a lot of what I've really heard is that it's very easy to get into. They love the simple way of writing. You get into it, you're involved, and you want to know more about what I went through. And of course, the most important thing is that it's a human story. It's a story that resonates with a lot of people.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not a celebrity. I'm not a billionaire. So it's not always it's always these books that we look up to and say, wow, but I'm someone who people can resonate, can understand. They've
Yes.
gone through the same issues, whether it's through their businesses or through their relationships.
Mm-hmm.
So a lot of the stories resonated, whether they were young people, midlifers. So they were inspired to ask these questions that I keep asking, like, why are we here? Or am I on the right path? Am I
Mm-hmm.
really happy?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes. So true. So, you built you've been running the building materials, running building material business for like 25 years. And how has that experience affected your writing?
I mean, as I said earlier, I was sort of brought up into the business world because it was the thing that my father did, all all our family did, all the peers, all our environment, all our community. Everybody's in business.
Mm-hmm.
We don't have doctors or lawyers or writers in our group. It's all business, right?
Okay.
So what it did for me was it locked me in like I was a robot
Uh-huh.
that was supposed to do this and do it right and
Uh-huh.
be successful.
Uh-huh.
And so really it didn't really help me much in writing. It was the opposite, sort of it held me back until I found writing. I was able to come out of this way of thinking. And it helped me now that I've got this writing in me and this self-expression. That's also helped me to be a better leader with my company, right? It's
Yes.
helped me with my team members. It's helped me with my customers, helped me with my suppliers. I'm a better communicator. I think more in the we rather than an I used to be. So it's really helped. Yes.
Yes. So, what led to the launch of the Authenticity Project? And how, do you select recipients, to receive the cash prize and the mentorship program that you have going on?
Yes. So when I went through all this thinking in my head, like I was sort of looking around to people who actually lived authentically,
Mm-hmm.
people who grew up reading when they were 5 or 6 year olds and then became writers. They're in the writing world, or people who were singing and since they were, yes, so they were probably on what they're supposed to be. They have. So authenticity is in Latin. Authenticity comes from the word authoring your life. It's somebody who authors his life or her life.
Yes.
So we took that as the line, and we looked at people who are actually doing what they want to be. They're not chasing money. They're not chasing status. They're not
Yeah.
chasing fame. They're doing things for the love of what they're doing.
Yes.
And some were successful, some were not too successful, but at least they were doing what they love.
Mm-hmm.
And it was like we were five of us. I brought in some friends, some colleagues who helped, and in the committee we looked at there was like at the beginning, the first year we did, there were about 15 finalists or people who could vote for. We voted for the top three. The winner was somebody who wanted it. It's called African Foresight, AFG, African Foresight Growth. She was trying to mimic the success of Boston consultancy, Anderson, and all these kind of business consultancy, but using African resources, and we felt that was very authentic.
Yes.
Another fantastic lady, her name was Selassie Adiduku, and she was a chef who was using Ghanaian traditional Ghanaian sort of recipes, so that and try to make them more accessible to everybody, but doing them up in a sort of like Michelin star kind of fine dining themes, and that was very nice as well. So it was these kind of people who are really authentic. She was African originally. She was trying to bring that African theme to the
Yeah.
world to share with people.
Mm-hmm.
So that's the kind of we felt we chose. These are the people who are living authentically. Of course, it's not only exclusive to these kind of people, but that's the choices we had, right?
Yes, yes, yes. That's so true. Being authentic is the most powerfulest thing that you can be. Being
Right.
authentic, not putting on airs for folks, and and bringing the gifts and talents that God have given you and presenting them to the world in your own form and fashion. So
Right.
that is so wonderful that you have created your authenticity launch, this program for mentorship for others. And I commend you on stepping out from your the life that we were so rigorously living,
Mm,
and then we like one day like, what, I want to do something different. The light
right.
bulb moment go off and be like, I want to do something different, than what I'm normally doing. And then once you sit down, take the time to really get into what you really would do if it wasn't for what you was already doing, and you come out with
True.
this fantastic program, and so how do others get to enroll or apply for this program?
I mean, we have a website for it, which we can share later on, and they can send in their applications, and we do that. I
Oh,
think this year we're trying to go a bit more international because it's so easy to do now online with all these connections we have, right? Before
yes,
it was only focused to Ghana, but now we're doing it internationally. So we start sort of working on it towards April, and
Oh,
that's when we sort of launch the 2025 initiative, and the website will be up revamped and with all the applications. Hopefully, we can look at that. Yeah.
okay, all right, all right. So in that sense of you're writing your book, what other things do you have going on? What other things do you have going on as far as events or projects that you have?
I mean, at the moment, I'm quite busy with my business, this authenticity initiative, and also I have a Substack page which I regularly write. I write a weekly newsletter.
Mm-hmm.
Uh, I'm also sort of on this podcast tour, because writing the book is half the job these days, right? Because you write a
Yes.
book, and if you're not you know that very well, you need to market because it's like an empty. If you look at Amazon, for example, people look at Amazon and think that you just put your book there and it sells.
Yeah.
it, do-
Right, right.
it doesn't. You have to
No.
run, you have to sell, you have to hustle.
Yes.
That's the point. So that's taking a lot of my time as well because I got to understand very quickly that yes, it's very good. I wrote the book, but nobody's seen it.
Yeah.
Nobody's heard of it.
Yeah.
So
Yeah.
the job I'm spending on eyeballs on the book, that's a good way. And I mean, I'm enjoying these podcasts as well, and I feel like I mean, it's a new way of communicating. People would rather maybe listen these days or watch videos rather than read, at least. And the most important thing is the message, right?
Yes.
That's
The
that's the
message.
goal.
Yes. The
Yeah.
message is
So,
so important.
so how did you get into it? Just a quick. I'll be interviewing you now. Just how did you get into podcasting?
Well, um, I got into podcasting through I was doing a program. It was called Morning Word and Worship, and I'm a minister.
Okay.
So, and then I had
Okay.
this idea of taking that program I did every morning and turn it into a weekly show, a weekly program that I do across all my social media platforms,
Okay.
LinkedIn, TikTok, Facebook, all those. And then I decided, I said, well, I'm gonna go ahead and make this a podcast. So I just went
Hmm.
on ahead and got the account, created the account, and that's how I got into it. And then God gave me some more things to do, and that's how I came up with Authors Excerpt Sunday podcast. So
Okay.
and it brought me, it's brought me a plethora of authors where I really got into I really created the show Authors Excerpt Sunday for the sole purpose of me gaining exposure for my book, because
Okay.
I didn't see anybody having any shows, interviewing authors and stuff like that. And then I was like, okay, well, I just create the show, not just about my book, but for other authors. So that's how I got into adding that to my podcast, the Authors Extra Sunday, and it has grown exponentially, and that's how I became a podcaster.
Wow. It's very interesting, right? Yeah. Yeah.
Yeah.
Nice.
So, do you plan on turning your book into an audio book? Is it already an audio book?
No, no, it's not yet. No, no. And probably towards the end of the year, I might do that. I just need to see, yeah, some feedback from sales first to see if
Hmm.
that works.
Yes.
Uh, yeah, yeah. So hopefully, end of the year.
All right, all right. At the end of the year, I'll be looking around, be like, yeah, where Mo Issa? His audio book. I'm waiting. Because when all the authors that I come across, I read their books. I read an
Okay.
excerpt out of their books. So are you ready to read an excerpt out of your book?
Sure, sure. Yeah,
Okay.
absolutely.
All right.
How long will that be? Do you want it to be
It
like?
doesn't matter. One or two paragraphs is fine.
Okay. Okay, great. Okay, so I'll read the part of I think it's which chapter? It's towards the end. It's chapter 13, and this is where I've gone through so many trials and tribulations, and I've done so many things, and it's I'll just read. But by the end of October, I was in a deep funk. After all the work I'd done on myself, I was still in the same place. I knew my predicament, but I was paralyzed as to what to do next. Over a long weekend, I went alone to a nearby beach resort to sit and reflect. This time, there was no therapist, faith healer, or magic mushrooms. On the first day I sat under the shade of the palm tree, the sun started in ascent, filling the sky with an orange-yellow light as a slight breeze brushed against me. The delicate branches above my head started swaying, their leaves caressing my face, neck, and shoulders. From afar, I could hear only the distant chirping of birds. It was as if I was the only person alive in the whole world. The colors were less vibrant than when I was under the influence of mushrooms, nor were the sounds around me as piercing. However, I was overcome by a powerful feeling of peace, a feeling that intensified when I sat there thinking of nothing at all. A clear image kept popping in my mind. It would linger for a few seconds and then go away. The picture that keeps forcing itself into my mind was that of a spiritual warrior. It wasn't a man clad in black and wielding a samurai sword, but rather an image of me. I looked strong and serene and wore a warrior's smile. I looked like a mixture of all the heroes who have inspired me: Rumi, Gibran, Hemingway, Alan Watts. Finally, I got up. I walked around to loosen my stiffened body. Within seconds, my mind was flushed with a clarity I'd rarely sensed before. It starkly contrasted how I'd allowed my anger and bitterness to cloud my intentions. I was expanding my awareness to allow something more significant than just my ego to process my thoughts and feelings. Though the vision was abrupt, the clarity I felt was the culmination of all the deep excavation I'd done into my psyche. The many sessions with the therapist, the mushroom trip, in-depth conversation with my close friends and family, and much archaeological writing in the form of my journaling, which all led to this specific revelation. The fact that my company was on its knees was a trigger, a call to action, like viewing a sick child wailing in pain. It took me a few days to discern what that image of a spiritual warrior truly meant to me and the next steps I should take. The bottom line was that I wasn't serious about chasing my dream, uniting the two modes. I wasn't willing to do the work to disentangle myself from my old identity. I was greedy and selfish in wanting the best of two modes. I tried to keep up with the Strivers Club, and at the same time desired to live this simple, creative, and spiritual life full of presence.
Oh, okay. All right now. All right.
Yeah.
So, is there going to be a part two to this book?
I've got to live for another 15 years. Let
Right, right. So, wait a minute. Don't rush me, right? So, so, thank you for reading your excerpt from your book. It is a marvelous piece. I
Thank you.
love what I have read so far, and and I want you to keep up the good work of writing from your heart.
Thank you.
Writing, writing where it brings you peace, writing where it
Right.
brings you happiness and joy, and to bestow that love upon others. Because when we write about our stories, when we go into a kind of a reevaluation of our life, when we put it down in words, it leaves a legacy for your children, leaves a legacy for your grandkids. So
Mm.
please keep up the good work, okay?
Thank you, Cherise. Thank you very
Oh,
much.
you're welcome. And where can our audience find you?
My website is www.mo-issa.com.
Mhm,
And I'm on Instagram, mo.issa. I'm on Substack, which is where I write my newsletter every week, and I keep
mhm.
in touch with a lot of readers. Again, if you put in Mo Issa Substack, you'll find me. And actually, the name of the Substack is Midlife Bliss.
Okay.
So that sort of mimics where I'm at the moment. So yeah, these are the places where you can see me, yeah, or
All
hear from me.
right. I know that's right. So I want to thank you, Mo Issa, for coming on Author's Excerpt Sunday podcast. And, come back and share some more stuff with us, when you can come and share your other books as well, because I love to give authors all the exposure that they need here in this
Right.
space. So, and I greatly appreciate you coming on today. And I want to say, I thank you. I thank you for your words of wisdom. I thank you for your words of encouragement. And I want to congratulate you on your authenticity program that you have. And if you want to come back and talk about that, and share with the audience how they can apply, how they can become part of it, just give me a call and we'll sit down and we'll work it out. We'll work it out. Okay.
Thank you. Great to hear that, Cerise. Thank you very much.
You're welcome. You're welcome. I want to say thank you to everyone that has joined our program today, Authors Excerpt Sunday podcast, with our special guest, Mo Issa. His book is entitled Midlife Shift, and it is so important that we read his book. It is very enlightening, very empowering, and it is very important that we take a different perspective and look at life from our usual normal eye provision, So thank you, Mo Issa, for coming in today. And I greatly appreciate you being a guest on our show. All right, everyone. It has been a pleasure. And we see you next time on Authors Excerpt Sunday podcast. Everyone have a nice day.